Welcome, everybody, to the December 1st meeting of the East Long Meadow School Committee. This meeting is being both audio and videotaped. And if there are no further announcements, why don't we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay.
Take it over.
Sure, yeah. So first on our agenda is approve.
A quick roll call.
Yes, that probably would be helpful. Let's start with that. Oh, thank God. God. We didn't even get through the roll call. God.
Continue.
You were fine.
Keep going, yeah, please.
Samantha,
Sorry, I'm late.
begin with the roll call. Thank you.
Samantha Velasquez, Secretary.
Pamela Blair, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Antonella Rochella.
Gordon Smith, Superintendent of Schools.
Gregory Thompson.
Amy Delenta.
William Strother.
And Card, student.
Approval of minutes.
I would take a motion to approve our minutes from the November 17th executive session.
I move to approve the November 2025 executive session meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
All those in favor,
Say aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Can you just?
It's a team effort. No, I like this. This is
No, I
good.
want-
Yeah, couple more minutes, couple more minutes.
That carries 4-0.
Approve the regular session meeting minutes.
I move to approve the November 2025 regular session meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And opposed? The motion carries 4-0. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So go around and share committee and subcommittee communications. And can we begin with you tonight? Thank you.
So there's not much going on at the school right now. We're like meeting the midterm for term 2. Juniors and seniors have their semi this weekend on Saturday. Winter sports have started, and then pretty much just football won against Long Meadow.
Thanksgiving, I saw that, yeah. Very cool.
We're all hoping for a snow day tomorrow though.
To be determined.
Yeah.
Okay, to be determined.
Oh my.
Waiting on more weather information. Valley looks pretty good.
Yeah, it
compared
does.
to the rest of the state.
3 inches maybe.
No,
It's getting wet.
It's a tough timing storm, so I do.
Probably not gonna have, fair warning.
We'll see. I get up early.
That's it. Thank you, Caitlin.
Well, Caitlin, I can tell you, we teachers are also praying as well, so we'll
Do it as well.
nothing to report.
I would like to share that I attended a meeting with the Diversity and Equity Committee. And I also attended with Carrie, Gordon, and others. I think we had a really productive meeting, Gordon.
Thought it was.
There seems to be some really positive movement and some goals for what we're looking at for the remainder of the school year. I think some more information is going to be coming shortly and will be made public shortly, but it seems like we're on a really good track, and there's some great, the leadership here in town has really put us on a nice trajectory with that committee. So I was very happy with how that went.
So
Well, we had a school building committee meeting last week. Things are coming along great. Actually, we're gonna do some updates later on. But project's going awesome. There's a new video up on YouTube. Thank you, Jamie, for that. It's awesome. And
there's also a link if you want to just go to the landing page of the school district right there in the news.
Oh, easy access for
for that video.
folks,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, great.
I think that video is from when, September? There is gonna be another one
August,
coming,
might even be August. Yeah,
couple of months old, but
Yep.
another one will be coming out soon.
project is gonna be fantastic. They're starting to block the pool too. The walls are going up for the
We'll
pool.
get some pictures of
Yeah,
that.
cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I don't have anything right now.
All right, do you want me to move into the upload then?
Any opportunity for visitors to speak?
Any visitors online? Do we have any visitors online?
I don't think so.
All right, great.
Great.
Right.
Gordon.
Moving into an update on the project that Mr. Thompson was just referring to. This is where we begin. This is where we'll end up sooner than I think we all probably realized. Where are we currently? So this is an aerial shot of the grounds, and it gives you an idea of the incredible progress that's being made. And this is a few weeks old now, but what it shows you is that you have the existing building, and then you have what now is fully looking like a building behind it, the new building behind it. And it also gives you a look at the new tennis courts and what they're starting to do with the back fields. They're looking to continue to stay on schedule. And so with the help of Mr. Page and Mr. McGee, ELHS athletic director, they are took the old JV baseball field, which was our only remaining baseball field, back behind the school, offline completely. And now they're moving on the fields. It should get them up and running faster than we originally had planned, which is awesome. Well, more looks at that as we go into the
For
slide.
opening day, right? Thank you to Long Meadow, right? Yes.
Thank you to Long Meadow on that. Yeah. That's a big thank you. Our two neighboring districts have been fantastic in partnering with us on a number of things. So that's been great. Long Meadow Public Schools and Hampton Wilbraham Regional. That's a closer look at the new tennis courts. So they're going to be up and running, yes, for day one of the new season, where we'll get the nets going in that first week of March and be ahead of the game for the new spring season.
Beautiful.
That just gives you a better look, ground level look of the grading of the athletic fields. And this is where the building's really starting to take shape and looking like a building. So you're adding windows and really starting to enclose the building. You're continuing to add the brick to the outer part of the building. That's A&E wings.
That's that art courtyard.
The A wing basically is your administration, auditorium, band, chorus, and then as you have that space between where you we were just talking about will be a courtyard. Then the two wings D and E are your academic wings. That gives you an idea of what the pool building, in terms of at least the structure to get the walls up on the building, what they need. CMU, concrete masonry unit. I just learned that. They're setting that up and they're starting to pour the walls, put the walls in. There's a look at the northern side. No, it's looking good.
Fantastic.
They're also starting to connect the pool building to the high school. And one of the things that we haven't talked a lot about, but is just another piece to the project that makes this a community building, is that this building, in addition to Birchland had been the only building with a generator, will have a generator. It was delivered the last few weeks, and it's going to be located between B and D wings. And that will allow this building not only to operate should power go out during the school day, but also become an emergency shelter, which Birchland has been the town's only emergency shelter to a smaller extent for limited periods of time. The fire station has acted as the emergency shelter, but Birchland has been the large emergency shelter because it has the generator. It can provide food services, and it has the space to set up cots and so forth and become a fully active shelter, which the high school will also be able to do once completed. This gives you an idea of what's going on inside the building. So you start to see what the auditorium is going to look like with the raised seating formwork being added. Welding of the catwalk. The catwalk in this case will all be open, where the current catwalk is actually enclosed within the ceiling, above the current building. And HVAC being installed. This is going to be an air-conditioned building, which is something different than our other schools have experienced. Metal framing going up. C wing basically is that center spine where the cafeteria normally is located as you enter and continue back in a straight line. And that's starting to get framed. You can see the main staircase or a main staircase there. And they're also starting painting.
Oh, the colors are in.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Each of the wings has a certain set of colors that will sort of identify that wing and those sort of rooms, in addition to the signage that says D wing and so forth. I don't know if there are questions before I get to that last slide. One of the things that we talked about throughout, really happy about, is that the project is on schedule and on budget currently, which is still true through our building committee meeting before Thanksgiving and through tonight to our school committee meeting. One of the ways to continue to stay on schedule, and we had brought this up with our last update, is that the pink areas of this map are areas that Fontaine would like to take and abate and get into demolition prior to the end of the school year. So what does that mean? Well, the biggest area is where we're currently sitting, and it houses central office, it houses student support services, it houses LCAT. Next to us, it houses the chorus room, and then there are 2 classrooms down at the end of the hallway. Mr. Page is working diligently to figure out where to place those 3 classrooms, and we'll absorb them hopefully into the high school building for those final 6 weeks or so of the school year. And this area is going to relocate. And we'll be putting out a request for proposals. I think Mrs. Blair is working on that. So we'll hopefully have that out soon. We did tour some existing office space over at Cartamundi, and should they be able to provide us a proposal along with any others who are interested, if it meets our needs, that could be a pretty easy switch, because they do have a decent amount of space. Obviously, we have to look at cost and then build all of that into the contract with the mover, who will be working to move the entire high school from this building to the new building, but that's going to happen in a series of stages. So wanted to keep everybody updated. More to follow once we start getting proposals on where this area of the building can move and where it'll be located after April vacation for the remainder of the school year, and for central office student support services, probably into the end of August at that point.
But I think the RFP has to be posted for like 30 days. We're still figuring out all the details, so it's probably going to happen more in January, the holidays as well, but we're working on it, so.
It would be for April.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And
We would use April break to do the move and then hopefully be back up and running when school's back in session.
and the plan is to use the funds from the project for both the move and the rental, we're hoping.
Right.
And have the Fontaine delineated a time to do the electrical shut off for the annex.
So they've done one test so far. They're going to do another test over here in the boiler room, which handles the heat for this area and certain areas of the high school. And then they're going to double check the electrical power, because LCAT has a different power line coming in that feeds just LCAT. and shutting off this area. They just have to make sure that they don't impact the rest of the school. They haven't
Right.
done that yet. So they're gonna have to pick a date to shut it down and see what. it
But
impacts.
before we commit to a rental, right?
Correct. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They'll do that. And if I say it on Thursday, I'm pretty sure Mark would schedule it on Friday.
Right, okay. After school.
Gordon, I'm sorry if you mentioned this, the
Oh, no.
physical education classes, are they gonna be like going outside? How are they?
So the only piece there, they won't take the large gym.
Okay,
They may take the small gym. That's a great question. So this isn't updated since
This was the
August.
request.
Yeah, this was the original
request.
west. I
okay,
just used the map again.
Yep.
And we will take the pool offline.
right, okay.
So small gym and
Small
pool
gym.
will probably go offline.
In April.
But I think the biggest piece that will help them is getting the annexes of all this area, because this is where you have the sewer running. This is where I think they have electrical hookups that they have to think about in terms of anything. I believe coming off Norton Street was one of the thoughts.
Yeah, going all the way to the concession.
So I missed that meeting. Did the small gym get added last?
The small gym is still a question mark. Still a question mark.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can't do it, then we don't do it.
I just haven't worded that piece out. Like I've talked to people down here. I knew the pool was gonna be offline.
Yeah.
I thought the small gym got ruled out.
And you may be right. This is an old map.
Okay,
I haven't brought up small gym since the original discussions on it.
okay.
I knew we had talked about the pool, and then I just used the map again because it was the easiest one to use.
The last conversation I had, the small gym got ruled out. They didn't see the bang for the buck in that area. This is the area of focus for them.
Right.
And
Pool, I thought they were taking that.
taken offline because this area heats the
Right.
pool.
Yeah, got it.
We just basically can't use it.
Yep.
So you might as well just drain it and start that process down there.
Okay.
All right.
You got any feedback on the parking lot?
In terms of plowing.
On what?
A new parking lot?
The students don't like it because they have to slow down.
Yeah.
Curbs are a little high, but that's really because they haven't put that top layer down yet.
Okay.
So that'll raise the pavement up. People complain that they think we have less parking. We actually have more parking than we previously had 2 years ago.
Yep. It seems clunky, the parking lot. And you can go the wrong way. Then you gotta go in and go out. You know how that, if you go right coming in off the loop,
If you go right coming in off the loop,
yeah, you're stuck in the lower side. You gotta come back high.
you have to get to,
Yeah.
if you go to the back end of it, you can go straight down it.
Right. You have to know that though.
You do.
Yeah. I wonder if they have signs for that.
My personal opinion is I like it. 'Cause
Thank you.
Designing,
Us.
doing what we designed it to do, which was to slow kids down. It also allows us to control traffic patterns at exits and arrivals, which we haven't been able to do in the past. I think as kids have adjusted, they've been, but like the complaints are what they see as negative, I see as positive because we have better control over
Yep.
that space, you know?
And when the,
4 lanes, all
Sorry,
emerging,
I mean, the-
one at the exit.
Sure,
one
oh, yeah.
have-
Oh,
It
yeah.
immediately forces them into a 1-lane situation. And as long as we have somebody who kind of stands down by the stadium and directs traffic, which we've been doing, we can easily control what,
You know the curve down by the tennis courts where there's parking inside the parking lot?
yes.
Have people had trouble getting into those, do you know? It's a very odd turn into. I was just in the lot the other day and I thought this is not intuitive, but it's just me. I know they try to slow it down.
Yeah, if you get to the back line of it, if you intentionally just go to the back,
Yeah.
that whole back is open and it takes you all the way to the front. So once you get that concept, it makes sense.
Yeah, the back is great, but I'm talking about that curve. They're just, I don't know. It just seems tight and I just don't want people knocking into each other because it's a weird turn in. You know that radius I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
On the other side of the handicap spots.
right here.
With the tenant,
Yeah, right there, right near the tennis courts.
Mhm.
I don't know. We should just take a look at that because it's
That's the,
funky.
Is that where there was some flooding too? I don't think in that little spot seemed to be some like pooling there.
Could be.
Well, we have a catch basin in the bus.
right there,
Is
right?
that going away?
Let me just-
Does anybody remember that?
So we just merged the two lanes.
Okay,
And then when the building's done, you actually won't have parents in that loop. You'll have buses.
right.
And then
Oh, you may switch it.
we may keep this as the arrow pickup because this isn't designed to have a queue lane where you
Okay.
can queue cars and have them wait in line.
Where the other loop is.
And this one works more naturally in that way.
Oh.
So we might actually, I've been talking to this with Mark, he's gonna look at some proposals of maybe putting in a lane to queue cars, but if it doesn't work, we're gonna keep the buses here and use that as a parent pickup drop off.
Okay.
So,
Who designs that? Is that Eric that designs the actual lot? Story?
Eric is the main one.
yeah, Eric's got
Okay.
it. But knows that if there's, so what do you
Members of the
maybe, I
team.
don't know, widen this down here? Is that what you're looking at?
I don't know what would fix it. It's just odd. It's just an odd corner. And I mean, I drive not a huge car and I would have trouble getting into it.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever want to come out at like 1:45, you can
Yeah.
kind of see how it's
Yeah, it's going-
utilized.
yeah.
It's obviously getting utilized differently during the school day than it does for like events. Because obviously the focus during the school day is here
Right.
and athletics is down here, you know, so most of our cars during the school day park here and they exit down this way. So these sections are pretty much empty. During
Okay, during
athletics,
school.
it builds up that way,
Right.
you know, so it just kind of gets utilized differently.
And do you remember, do we have parking on that now, what's called the bus loop for the pool, or is it on the south side?
It would actually be on the side of the
Yeah,
building.
if you go to that next one, there is parking over on the pool, along the pool side here.
I thought there was, but
Behind
that
the
one
pool.
doesn't show
Along
it.
here.
Yeah, on the back
Yeah,
side.
it's gonna be on the back.
Okay,
Yeah,
Just for the pool.
okay. So that'll be the main exterior entrance then for that pool, kind of.
Right.
this drag right now, you can't see, it's hidden.
Right,
It's
yep.
hidden behind fence.
Yeah.
Like, this is the one that's exposed,
Yep.
but this is blocked off. You
Yep.
can't see that drag that takes you behind.
Cool. Getting there.
Sure.
We can, if there are no other questions, we can move to the competency determination post. The page. One thing, just as all of you know, this has been sort of a stepped process, which then the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education keeps entering into. I think they're somewhat finished on terms of competency determination. However, they released this today, 108-page draft of graduation requirements. And so that will have impact on this because one of this, it's technically a draft, but I think it's well on its way to becoming what the universal graduation requirements will be. But
There an assessment in it?
so there's numerous,
Made another one.
there's
Yeah.
numerous.
Just made another one.
Yeah, there's numerous assessments in it. So they've taken some of the things that we've done here that we'll highlight where we'll have homegrown, maybe portfolio assessment for a given subject area or content area. And they've reserved the right to have certain courses attached to an assessment that is state developed and state scored and a capstone project that will be state created, but locally implemented and locally scored. So I'm not exactly sure how any of that works because in the 108 pages, they haven't defined how it's going to be implemented or a timeline. But more to come. There will be the first webinar of probably a few is on Wednesday. And so that'll be the first chance for superintendents to ask questions. And if they open it up, certainly I'll invite Mr. Page and any of the administrators who would like to go there and start learning about it.
Higher legislation though, like
Well, it's
I read
Governor Healy.
today,
Governor
yeah.
Healy was the one who launched.
So
It's
it's
just
coming,
Governor Healy's.
it's not even coming from DESI, it's coming from the governor's office.
Yeah.
Right, but does it require any additional, I mean, it
I
seems
think
like,
the legislature actually was on board. At least the development, so I don't know. What they're operating on is that there's still a federal law that you need a competency determination, and so. they're now, since MCAS went away, they're seemingly bringing this back as a way to hit or kill two birds, as the saying goes, with one stone. I think they were looking at having some kind of coordinated graduation requirements even before the vote to get rid of MCAS. And then MCAS was voted out. And so then they had to react with, okay, how do we have competency determination? And they started with some very general guidance back in February, I believe. And then they became more specific somewhat later in the spring, late winter, even more specific as they got into the summer. And that's where we are. And then today we got graduation requirements.
Yeah, so my takeaway from it, under that competency umbrella, they're talking about proficiency. They talk about proficiency. That's what's I think, gonna end up being the state graduation requirements for coursework. So the completion and passing of courses. And then over on this side, they have this flow chart and they talk about mastery. That's where the assessment component is going to come in. And just to hit, Mr. Smith shared this with me today. I went through it. I skimmed it. I didn't obviously go through with a fine tooth comb, but they were calling the assessments end of course assessments. Didn't say what they were connected to, but they specifically referenced MCAS when they were talking about these. So my takeaway would be that they're probably going to be connected to freshman and sophomore year end of course assessments in math, science, English, and social studies. So I would assume items we're talking about tonight may have a shelf life of a couple of years, as these end of course assessments from the state are going to eventually replace what we are proposing. So, but these are all just recommendations at the moment. They said they still have to get federal approval for them. And then it'll go to DESE for their board approval. So we probably got at least a year, I would assume.
And they did coordinate with DESE. The two chair people were the commissioner and the secretary of education. So
yeah,
I think they have DESE's approval.
Yeah, so I would assume there's going to be an assessment coming from the state that is going to be state mandated and graded. It's just going to be connected to the specific coursework that they're going to outline as graduation requirements for those freshman and sophomore years. But yeah, so with all that, so back in July, before we got today's notification, the state did outline updated guidance and regulations for the competency determination connected to both that competency or that proficiency and also that mastery language. I don't have a formal proposal, so I'll just kind of talk generally. The memo that Superintendent Smith and Ms. Brown shared with you outlines how we plan on meeting that state guidance or requirement from July, where we are aligning our competency determination to coursework in successful completion of coursework in math by students successfully completing Algebra 1 in geometry, in English by successfully completing English 9 and 10, in science by successfully we are focusing on biology, and then in social studies, the passing of U.S. history. So as far as the coursework goes, there are some other components of that outlined. Students, like when I go to science, it talks about how students can also meet that requirement with physics and chemistry, but we also do have biology as a graduation requirement here. So, so students would always start with that course first. There are some other components where you can meet it through, with the U.S. history, students can also meet that requirement with things like AP U.S. history. But it is hitting at the bones of what the state is also asking us to do in terms of coursework. We did consult with other districts around us through the LPVC. Their proposals are very similar to the ones that we are proposing, both in terms of the coursework piece, but also the mastery, which I'll hit on next. So this isn't, us just doing this in isolation, but it is coordinated and collaborated with other districts. And we are pretty much in lockstep with what we're seeing other proposals from other districts putting forward and sending to the state.
Can I ask a quick question there? So I noticed, and we talked about this a little bit in the spring, but you have the benchmark set, I think, still at the student earning a 60 or above. Is that what other towns are also doing? 60 as the benchmark?
For the passing of the course?
Yeah, well, I think you have, the way that it's written here is satisfactorily completing coursework.
Yes.
That is tied to a 60 or
Yep.
above.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing in other districts as well around here?
So the traditional passing for a course is 60%. So when districts tell us that it's the satisfactorily completion of coursework, or they're saying passing of courses, my assumption is 60%. I think there was one district I saw where they said the actual number in the ones that we went through. But most of them are just saying completion or passing of coursework. So I think the 60 is implied, which would also be in line with our current graduation requirements anyway. So if a student is passing Algebra 1 with a 60, they would meet that graduation requirement by receiving those credits, but they would also meet that competency determination.
Okay.
And then they would still have to move into mastery, which would be second part of that.
And is a student going to be able to demonstrate mastery if they've earned a 61 in a class?
Well, for the students in the class of 2026, mastery was just the passing of the course.
Yeah.
As we move forward,
Yeah, I'm talking about 28 and beyond.
yeah, so they're going to have to also show a passing grade on the assessment, if that's what the department has chosen. So then they would have a universal assessment. Or they could go to a capstone or portfolio project, spaced assessment. And so I think Mr. Page is going to walk us through some examples of what departments are working on, because that's what they've used their professional development time coming out of August into September, and then most recently on the November day was looking at what are the departments going to do in terms of the mastery piece.
So when we went through this process, like I said, we spoke to other districts and we focused on what the policy was going to be, that overarching policy. And the first part of that policy focuses just on the completion of coursework. So that passing of courses that we talked about. The second piece of that, and this is what we've dug into at the district level, this school year, has been that mastery component, which is connected to some type of assessment connected to each of these courses that are part of the CD. Each department is taking a different approach to it. What I like that we are doing is we don't have that one-off high stakes test that we are approaching, but we are looking at a composite score from multiple assessments for each of these. For example, if I look at biology, they have a unit test in each of their units. Their plan right now, and these are all, I think one of the reasons why we put different possibilities in all of these is we are not honed in on the final ones, because I think we have to make sure we do this right. But we are looking at, for biology right now, a composite score of all of their unit tests over the course of the year. So averaging all of those together to meet that CD. In math, they're looking at an average of the midterm and the final exam in Algebra 1 and geometry. So the two exams that they take. But
this won't demonstrate mastery, a composite score, right?
So it would.
Because that's not one of the three. You have final assessment, portfolio, or performance-based assessment. You're not talking about that right now.
So under that umbrella of portfolio is where we say that is that combination of assessments. They're putting together a group of scores to demonstrate that proficiency, is how we're looking at it.
That's a portfolio project.
Not project. I wouldn't call it a project.
So it's this wording, we should look at the
Compilation
wording.
of their,
Well, it's capstone or portfolio. Oh, you're saying get projects out of the portfolio piece.
Yeah, and we could put that language in there.
Oh, because we wrote this, right? This is our words. So I'm just saying what you described is not one of the three, as far as I'm reading. I know that it sounds
Yeah.
reasonable, but
Yeah, so the portfolio concept is a combination of assessments that you would put forward to demonstrate your work in that class, right? So, it would fall under that umbrella, but if you wanted to be more specific, we could put that piece in there.
if I was to read this, I would think I could do a portfolio project and hand it to you and that could demonstrate my mastery, but that's not what you're saying that we're gonna do.
Yeah, we're looking at an average combination of composite of multiple assessments, and that average score would be the one that would demonstrate your
So it's not really a
mastery.
portfolio though, is it?
Really.
Can we create a category that does that? That's
Yeah.
what we're gonna do?
Yep.
And what would that be? Because we're gonna have to approve this tonight, right?
You can do it over 2 meetings, so purposely put it on the first December meeting so that we have time to revise. It's due to DESI, I believe, December 31st.
Yeah, at the end of the month.
Stroke at midnight. Or 11:59. I'll be here.
Can we raise that 60?
So,
Even if it's just a 65, because I'm just imagining a scenario where there's a student who's
Yep.
completed coursework successfully or satisfactorily, and then has to go, like, how is that gonna, are we doing the students a disservice by defining a successful, passing grade as 60
Mhm.
and saying, well, now we're gonna have you do this performance-based assessment, and then what does that mean? They're gonna also perform in the D. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, something about that feels like a really low bar to me to describe successfully. I don't know. I'm not saying that if you get a 60, you shouldn't pass the class and earn your diploma. I'm just saying from the state's perspective, or for what we're being asked to do with competency determination, and then as we transition into the state's new ask, why not set the bar a little higher?
where I would push back a little bit on that one is traditionally as a school, when it comes to the MCAS, this is supposed to replace the MCAS.
Yeah.
MCAS got voted out and we're choosing something to replace that. The MCAS test itself at East Long Meadow High School had a passing rate in the ELA side, typically at 100%. Right?
It had, sorry.
In ELA, typically we would be between 98 and 100% of our students passing the ELA MCAS in any given year, right? That means maybe 1 or 2 kids may fail, who'd have to take the retest. But typically those kids would move on, pass the retest and graduate. So you have a really small percentage of students. On the math side, it usually, if I'm historically just, I don't have the data, but somewhere between 5 and 10 kids in any given year might fail the math out of 200, right? So it's still a very small failure rate. Biology usually was less than 5. So
May I
Really?
offer one element to that?
yeah, and where I'm just, if I can just,
Yeah. All I was gonna say is that where the state put the threshold for passing was it needs improvement.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
they've always had it lower than proficient
okay.
in terms of
meet the competency.
passing.
So if we're talking about meeting that competency, where I just go with that is I don't want to create something significantly harder than where our students were performing and passing the MCAS in the past. I agree. We would want to see kids score higher than a 60, and we can definitely push at the school level to try to raise those averages from year to year. But if we have
Authentically, I mean,
Yeah.
thinking about even that idea of the portfolio, I think of portfolio as something else too. I don't think of a portfolio necessarily as just a compilation of all of the different assessments that you've taken over the course of the year or the course just put together. I think of it as something a little bit more robust that allows students an opportunity to be assessed differently rather than just that, because you even just said like the midterm and the final, those are still high stakes.
They are.
tests.
Yeah.
So if we're moving away from that, we're incorporating some other ways for students to demonstrate what they know.
Mhm.
Maybe that can be somehow incorporated in there as well, or even just in a small way to allow for, some students who might even
Well,
learn differently. I don't know.
Is there a chance for students to demonstrate mastery other than normal taking of assessments? If we do a composite, right, then not much has really changed. Is that kind of your point?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, maybe
So-
that's the point. Maybe we don't want it to change. I don't know, but I thought this was part of a bigger conversation that maybe we were moving towards
Mhm.
thinking about things a little bit differently.
So where I would just add in is anything that a student fails, we also have to create a system where those students can retake it. right? So we have the passing of courses where if a student fails that course, they can retake that course, right? But same thing with whatever approach we take for the mastery piece, that if the students fail that, we have to have a system in place to address that. What I've been talking through with departments is we should have something that's in line with how we see passing rates for our classes, and also with what we've typically seen historically with our students, how they perform on MCAS, because that should be really with the spirit of what the competency is. So if we're creating something top of that, I would say we might want to look at something that might be separate outside of the competency determination. So if you want something with a higher benchmark and you guys wanted to have that conversation around, say raising the bar, the burger for the kids, I'm not opposed to that, but it might be something that exists outside of that competency determination conversation.
More as a
That makes sense.
requirement as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to create more work for teachers, I just think, and I'm not even saying raise the bar or lower the bar, I'm saying like, think that, we've been talking for months now about AI and how everything has changed. I mean, I'm talking more about authentic learning, creating a different culture where kids aren't just obsessed about like, what did I, what is my grade? What is my GPA? But like, did I actually learn whatever it is I was supposed to learn? I mean, I know that that's not the culture in high school. I mean, it's not just here, it's everywhere. So maybe thinking about how do we scrape that back a little bit? How do we pull it back and get them to be less focused on the number? And us too, as the adults in the room, and more concerned about is authentic learning happening here?
And then it may be, just as Mr. Page is saying, we might need another avenue to do that, whether it's, ELPS graduation requirements, depending on how many of those we can.
Yeah, and I don't want to put more work. I don't want to do that to teachers or administrators at all. I just want to think about this more
The
comprehensively.
only reason I'm saying that is because as they put in this work and we're getting excited, such as social studies, which I think you were going to give an example, is looking at all their document-based questions, and they were going to use that, a series of document-based questions over the years as part of their mastery component. Certainly English would lend itself to a portfolio because you could do a variety of writing. And so I don't know that they've made a final decision as to which direction they're going. But the unfortunate change, which just happened today, is that this will be impacted by whatever the final universal graduation requirements are. Because whether it's for the class of 28 or the class of 29, the assessment is going to be taken out of our hands for some courses. And for that matter, the capstone project sounds like it will be taken out of our hands. For whatever courses ultimately are designated, which I would agree with Mr. Page, reading it quickly, it does seem like they're going to continue to look at the courses that were part of MCAS, first and foremost, and then move forward in terms of making sure that every high school is looking at, which we already do, 4 years of English, 3 years of lab science, and so forth. And so they're really trying to look at how do we coordinate that so that every high school across the Commonwealth is doing the same thing in terms of what their graduates achieve.
Yeah, so just as Mr. Smith was saying, we're looking at that cumulative or that average score for those end of unit assessments in ELA. At the end of each unit, there's a summative assessment, and also in social studies, where in U.S. history they're using that document-based question analysis approach. So they're planning on utilizing 4 of those over the course of the year that would be averaged together to demonstrate that competency. So we did want to put it in a space where the kids had multiple opportunities to score, because obviously if you have that one bad test, we don't want to have that be just that simple one-off. But I think part of my hesitation is of moving something outside of what we're currently doing for the competency determination is I think the state's eventually going to tell us, as we're finding today, what the competency determination is going to be. Like I said, I'm more than open to having a conversation about looking at our graduation requirements and seeing if there's something we might want to layer in that does raise that that bar. For the CD, I'm just more trying to align with what the state's asking us to do at the moment.
So just back to the district determined measures, you're saying you don't want to put an emphasis on one test and have a student do, but one of the bullets is a final assessment for the course or the passing grade. So that sounds like one assessment.
So in the state's recommendations and what we saw from other districts, they offer those as 3 possibilities. And when the other districts are putting their policies forward to the state, they were listing all the possibilities. I think it was with the idea that you could potentially adjust if you found something that you were putting together didn't make sense. So you could, let's say we go through this and we're looking at the product of what our students are going to be doing in English this year. We're like, this isn't it, so we have to switch it. It allows us to policy to make those adjustments as needed.
It just seems the things that you both described that we're going to use are not any of the 3 bullets. Are they?
I think we have to expand them, just as you were saying. I think what we would, these are the 3 examples, but if
I don't think they fit what we're doing.
if we're going to use a compilation of assessments, we might want to add that as, a 4th option, which I think is fine, even with the template that the state provided us. And then just be clear as to, is it a capstone project or are we looking at a portfolio? And whether you separate those, the state did not separate them, but certainly we can. And see where they land in terms of acceptance.
Is that what we're looking at as the acceptance issue with putting too many alternate
It's hard to say,
phrases?
because all 300, or so districts are gonna send them in on December 31st, so we probably won't hear for a while.
Yeah, I'd just like to see what we're doing is one of them at least. I know you want the option to go to others, but.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're just saying add a 4th.
If you're gonna potentially do the other 3.
In terms of what the actual department is deciding on doing this year, it doesn't lock them in for the foreseeable future because they have all 3 options or 4 if we add that 4th. But each department then can say, okay, we'll use social studies as an example. The document-based questions, they can then let their students know, these are going to be what ultimately count towards showing mastery, in addition to passing the course, your grade for the year. This will be the second component, which shows mastery.
Yep.
And so then what's the difference between a final assessment for the course, and a performance-based assessment?
So performance-based assessment, so final assessment kind of implies like a test, right? Performance-based assessments where you might be actually performing something in order to get that grade. So science is a great example of that, where it might be some summative lab, right? So the students are going through a lab and performing all the steps that go along with that, and then also submitting that final product to the teacher. That would be a good example of that performance-based assessment. That would be the final grade where you're demonstrating all your skills from the science course over the course of the year or 2.
What would that look like in math? Because I agree, I'm looking,
English.
it's because you have it here in math and I don't,
I think the template had it for all subjects.
oh, so
We
just,
just kept
you
it.
just
Yeah.
carried it through the
Template had it for all
template.
subjects.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, you
I
could
think the English department is looking more towards, as what Mr. Page said, either a final assessment or a portfolio. And then that would be the direction they go. This gives them the latitude to do either.
So
But it's a good point.
to answer your question on math, our Algebra 2 students, they have a project where they take, those noodles from the pool and they build roller coasters in the hallway, but they have to map out the different angles and graph it out, and then also put the graph into like their. Did you do this project?
It's Desmos. Like they have to go to Desmos, make the equations, the points.
You can speak to.
I would define that as project-based assessment and
Yeah, project-based.
I love.
Yeah.
I can get behind that in every single one of these classes. That I'm on board.
Yeah, and if you could call it project-based as well, if you wanted to switch the language to that, but it would be more, the idea behind the performance would be moving away from that traditional test assessment and something that the kids might be actively doing right?
That
Well, it seems like that's what
I like.
the idea is, right? For something different than just a traditional assessment.
Yep.
No? Yeah, okay.
But it just sounds.
I think that-
Talking about a capstone project that,
All right.
most college students end up
Uh-huh.
doing at the end of their, end of their college career, which encapsulates everything they've done over the last 2 or 4 years.
Right. Yeah, which I think is actually being confused, probably here in this discussion, but also by DESI, because they're linking it to a course.
Yes.
And they're not considering, because when we go back into the 20-teens, seems weird to say that, but anyway, we were going toward some type of capstone with the senior project,
Yes.
which it was compiling a look at, how do they bring together? It was mostly career oriented, so it wasn't a full-fledged capstone, but looking at how do you take the skills and some of the interests that you developed through your 4 years and start to put it on display, so to speak.
To show growth.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was much more targeted towards looking at fields for their careers at the time, but that was the discussion. Do we start to migrate towards a true capstone? What we're seeing, at least from the templates we're receiving from DESI, is that it's getting mixed now. What could be an end of course project, summative project, being called a capstone.
And Summit should go.
And I think everybody's open, whether it be the high school administration or a central office, we're open to those discussions. We just don't want to get too far down the road and be told, nope, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Can't go that way. So I'm wondering if the avenue is, just as Mr. Page was saying, do you look at graduation requirements? And then in addition to whatever DESI says will be the universal requirements, ELPS will say, we also want to have this. And that might be something that we look to develop, whatever this may be. And maybe it's a capstone. Maybe we go back to that senior project of sorts, because that truly is a capstone of looking at, okay, what do these 4 years bring you to in terms of your achievement, your interests, and where you want to go?
And I think that bridges your question with respect to a student that doesn't test well, that gets the D to pass, but is great at being able to just show you why they pass and how they pass. And that tends to lean more on those students that have those hands-on skills. They may not be able to articulate it as well as others can, so they're not getting the A's and the B's, but I can actually do the work. I can actually do the project. I can do the science piece of it. It may not be as well as articulated in English, but I can do the work. And employers, we all know that's what they want. They want to, can you show me you can do the work? You can tell me all day you can do it, but can you show me?
And on the flip side, you have your A student who
Mhm.
can just barrel through everything and wants to get that 95, and that's what they're focused on.
Right.
But a project-based something or some kind of end of course portfolio or whatever we're calling it would force those students to slow down, reflect, have a more authentic learning experience that isn't so focused on, I need to get this number and move on, but rather I need to actually become a critical thinker.
Correct.
Tough balance to
It is.
keep.
It is.
Yeah.
But supposedly in this graduation requirement document, at least that's the beginning pages, they talk about having those skills, critical thinking, collaboration, problem solving and so forth. But then as you get in further, it becomes more about the assessment and whatever the summative project, whatever that shall be called. Which a summative project certainly opens up your skill base.
Mhm.
An assessment may go for certain very specific skills. And then also test your ability to be a test taker.
And I think both are important.
Right.
I think it is a balance.
So,
We can expand and become more specific if that's what the committee would like. The template's very general. but we can expand within the content areas so that we're reflecting where, without inhibiting, their future potential, where they're going, such as, we know social studies has really sort of locked in the last two professional development sessions around document-based questions. Are they calling it document-based questions or data-based questions?
Document-based questions.
Questions. And some of the other math specifically is more along, well, it may not be one assessment. They're looking at, the average eventually of a few key assessments, midterm and final at the moment. If we want to add unit assessments, and then we could do that as well. Is that where you'd like us to revise and then bring this back? That makes sense.
I would rather you not go as deep in detail and give them the latitude to create something that reflects the whole student and not just the, academically excellent.
Okay.
But let's say what we're doing as well.
Right. I mean, I think in each area, what we have to do is, we want to use what the template provided us and the guidance provided us, but also if we add a fourth, or we become a little bit more specific in terms of breaking capstone and portfolio, maybe it's 5 options. And then what we can indicate as we bring it back is sort of where our departments are as we move forward. As every district, I think, is well on its way with the class of 26, knows where the class of 27 needs to be, but it's really that class of 28 and beyond that we need to make sure that we're becoming much more specific so that we can start to let them know this is what you need to be thinking about. And this is what it's going to look like in each department. What we haven't gotten to is looking at things like the appeals process, looking at how we work with students with disabilities, because remember, all these things were defined in the MCAS process, and now what they're doing is switching all of that back to the schools until they tell us exactly what they want us to do down the road.
Well, so all the more reason to have what we're doing in the process, because if we don't say what we're going to do and it's appealed, right?
Correct. Well, the appeals right now are to us. But you
Yeah.
want to walk us through
It's all
in
local.
terms of, why don't we, moving to that page where section 3, additional considerations. Working with students with disabilities. Do you want to walk us through that, Mr. Page?
Sorry, I closed the tab. Let me let it back up.
I shouldn't say to us. They're developing actually a competency
review
determination
committee?
review committee.
That's not internal, or is it?
No, it is internal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so all the stuff we're outlining is local. So even when we are certifying that students have completed coursework or demonstrated mastery, like we do now when we certify our students at the graduation requirements of East Long Meadow High School, we are doing that locally. When we submit this date, that's not something that, they're approving. So same with this process. So with we're on page
Page 4,
Section 3, yeah.
section
section 3. Right. So whatever we outline, as I was saying earlier, not only do you have to have a process in place for students to demonstrate the proficiency by passing the coursework, and then passing that assessment, you also have to have a plan in case those students fail, so whatever that makeup might be. If the students continue to fail, that's where the appeal process comes in. We have a plan for our students with disabilities, where we have to ensure that whatever assessments that we're giving, any accommodation or modifications that might be within those assessments are based on a student's FTE. Ongoing assessment of progress towards those personalized learning goals. We have to ensure that also that student is working towards those goals and then receiving their FAPE. just continuing to scroll down, so if a student is continuing to fail, that's where the review committee comes in. We also have a review for late enrolling students, so students who may have transferred in from out of state, or from other schools within the Commonwealth. So there's all these different components that might factor in when we're talking through whether going through that competency determination review. So, and with that review process, Mr. Smith, correct me if I'm wrong, twice a year?
We're looking to have this meet twice a year.
Yeah.
Once in January and then once in June.
Once in the summer. Yep. So these are all the different components we have to look at, but then as we specified, if we had to make accommodations where students' assessments did have to be modified, that's where we may be looking at some type of portfolio approach to meet the needs of students who can learn differently. But these are obviously, these processes are still ongoing, so I can't speak to the specifics of each of those within the departments, but those would be possibilities here as well.
Okay.
And walking through, given that they've now removed MCAS, if you go to the next page, we also have to provide students the opportunity who previously may have not met the competency determination, which means that they did not receive a diploma, the opportunity to request the possibility of now getting a diploma, and that goes back to 2003, I believe.
Yeah, so a student,
Have students?
Not many. There are some, but the students, when MCAS first came in and the
Yep.
first groups that may not have met the competency determination on MCAS, even with the retests going on their junior year and their senior year, we also contacted them in the early days, offering them to come back and take retests when they were offered. So they had the opportunity as they left us to take subsequent retests in subsequent years, and some ended up passing.
yeah, but that does stop at the age of 22.
Yep.
So if there was a student who continued to retest and fail at the age of 22, they could no longer test again, but now those students could come back and appeal based on the new language of the law.
Do we know who those students are, former students?
Honestly, the best person to potentially ask this question would be Dr. Welch. I know that she worked with a lot of kids who continued to test at the age of 18.
Yep.
I had a student.
What we have to do is we
Yeah.
have to advertise it on the website.
Yeah.
And have it very clear that students who would be looking for a diploma based on the new law,
Yeah.
that here's the process
She's
they.
someone who we used to always work with regularly when we had kids who,
I'm saying if we have contact, if we know these former students and are able to contact them and they can get a diploma now, I mean, that's life changing for some
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
So, and the chance of.
So what we would have
the
to do is
website,
go through transcripts and see who got certificate of attainment.
Because if that was the only thing they did not attain, then they would be eligible.
Right.
yeah, I
We'd
can.
have- What we'd have to do is review
You know,
their coursework, their transcript.
Yeah.
That's where this review committee would also come in, because they would have to look at the application and then go through the transcript and start matching up. Okay, you met all the other
we'd have
graduates.
to certify that they did meet all of our graduation requirements over here, but they just never passed the MCAS.
Right, but we've contacted those students in the past and say, come back and take the MCAS, right? And then they either do or they don't. So we have those contacts is what I'm saying. So those people that we offered to come back and either did
Yeah,
and
we can,
didn't pass or did not come back
we can look
and
at
are now
all
eligible.
old invitations.
I mean-
and put together a list.
We'd have,
Job potential for someone to say, I now have a high school diploma versus not, I think that's big for some people, if
Absolutely.
they're eligible.
Right.
yeah, I can tell you, since the COVID pandemic, we don't have any kids who have met our graduation requirements and not passed the MCAS. We've had kids who have come back and tested after graduation, but they have eventually passed. Like I can think of a student who, back in, I think it was 21, he was 21 years old. He was like 3 months before his 22nd birthday, and he actually passed. which is great, you know. That's the last kid I remember who was close to it. I can't recall from the years when I was assistant principal, so we'd have to figure out how to go through those rosters from back then and potentially pull them. Because I agree, if we can give a kid a diploma who met all our graduation requirements over here, just never passed that state test, would be great to hand them that diploma.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
So we should be able to do a query based on our school and then going back to Redeker. I'm assuming that
Yeah.
it will be a little challenging, but we can start working on it in terms of pulling a list together of basically students who received a certificate of attainment.
I agree. Dr. Welch will really be helpful.
be a great resource.
She really knows.
She'll do it off the top of her head,
Yeah.
but
You can tell you the kid
thinking that there may be,
here in 2000,
Yes.
be on that list, you know.
you know, certainly she'll have all the students on IEPs. And that's even a different process in and of
Yeah.
itself, because that was the what do they call it, the portfolio. Yeah, it was a portfolio. Thank you. Portfolio,
Yeah.
MCAS portfolio. So we can start to put that list together.
Okay, great. So we're gonna come back with this, is that the plan?
We will come back with revisions to this and bring it back to the second December school committee meeting.
Okay.
So, and just to clarify the last piece, coming back, we're just adding language around that cumulative assessment approach that we're taking.
That was the only
Yes.
change we were,
Think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, okay,
So we're doing what we're doing, yeah.
yeah, and just
We'll
Reiterate.
update where our departments are in terms of each content area that's working and specifically pulled into this. And we can indicate where they are with what they're thinking of going with and developing.
okay,
Doesn't say that they have to do that forever into the future. That's why they have the options.
yeah,
But where are they gonna be for the class of 28?
yeah, unless, so all four right now, unless we're asking them to go in a different direction, is gonna be that cumulative assessment approach for all four.
Document-based questions.
So what's the point of all the other bullets then? Just to give us the option to do the other?
So at this point, none of it's been in practice.
Yeah.
So
Well, are they the same assessments that we're using now?
No, some are being developed.
some are being developed and some are in place, but we've also never used this as a state requirement before. You know, so in the past, given final exams in math, we've given midterm exams in math, but they have not been utilized to meet the state CD. So we might, you know, when we look at the data, say we might have to reevaluate how we're doing this or how the assessment is being used. So I think that's where we were just looking to keep some flexibility in there, because we have kids who fail the test, but they still receive credit for the course because they've met the other requirements over the course of the year.
Well, you have to make the competency determination early before it starts, right? You can't change that midstream, right? You determine it as a department.
Yep.
Stick with it. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be this thing where we hit June and we don't like the data, so we go back and retroactively do it. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but the idea would be work within the policy. So if we have to revise the following year, we could revise.
Which we probably will have to anyway.
I would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll bring that back then.
If we get to that point and the state allows us, they might say, you're doing this anyway.
Right. Right.
Have the project for us.
It probably will.
Frank, anything on the robotics field trip that we need to know about? It's pretty, right? Are we able to
Down on
go?
the agenda.
Oh,
Mr. Van Buren request for the own team.
Same as every year.
yeah, same as past years.
Able to go out of state now? What's going on with that?
Well, we haven't heard that we've become a compact. So what would be required here is if a parent goes with them, they act as the nurse.
We can,
You only have 9 people on the team. so it's
for the
easier,
robotics team.
Right, it's easier to
Yeah.
have that
Is it
team
not an
go out
issue?
of state.
It has not been, the one where it's gonna get tricky, where we still don't have a direct answer yet, is that Broadway trip for the music program, which they know is potentially,
So he's looking at possibly switching that and staying in state and doing
Yeah.
Boston play.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I got a feeling we're gonna end up in Boston
Okay.
at law.
Yeah.
'Cause they were supposed to tell us in November, supposed to be finalized.
That's your drive.
Yeah, yeah, because with that component is like every state that you travel through. That,
I'm
yeah,
going to Broadway.
no, so those 2 hours in Connecticut, you're beholden to Connecticut's rules and then when you get to New York and.
Okay. Okay, thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah.
We'll readdress the other next week or next meeting. Cool.
Thank
All right, thank you guys.
Mr. Page,
Okay, up next, we have the FY 26 budget update from our Assistant Superintendent for bid.
Hey, everybody. So attached is a financial update as of November 21st. I gave you your first quarter report. We didn't want to wait until the second quarter. We thought budget is happening now. Discussions are happening now. So this is as of November 21st. On page 5 is where I have the spreadsheets. I always give you guys a write-up here, but I'm not going to go through every single write-up. I've made little notes for myself here. So page 5, the salary accounts are all in the top section. Just as a reminder, the salary portion of the budget represents more than 80% of the operating budget, which is typical for most school districts. At the start of each fiscal year, the majority of salaries are encumbered in the accounting system and are reviewed and adjusted as staffing changes occur throughout the year. So as you start to look at your line items here that I lumped together, the athletics, those are hourly staff. So you're going to see a balance there. Nurses, medical staff, we have a lot of medical staff that are hourly employees. So again, you're going to see a balance there. Clerical, that's contractual longevity paid at year end. Custodians actually get their longevity throughout the year. So I don't believe that balances longevity. I believe that that's more of budgeted overtime that just has not been expended. Paraprofessionals, so I'm showing 170,000 there, which is a pretty good number. What I want you to know is we have 2 vacancies currently, 2 leave of absences, and approximately 1/3 of para positions experience turnover every single year. So it's just what we have, tracked, that the data shows that 1/3 of our paras is just constantly a change. So when you see a balance like this, I just want to remind you all that we have over 100 paraprofessionals. We do pay a better wage now for the paraprofessionals. So these can add up pretty quickly, I guess is my point to you. And so far this year, there have been 24 resignations with new hires. Many times these positions go unfilled. It could, we just filled a bunch over this last month. So that's why I see the balance there. The next one is your noon aides, tutors, codas. Those are hourly employees as well. So you're going to see a balance there. The teachers, it's 127,000 there. We have 9 leave of absence requests. And what I started to think about also is I wanted to bring to your attention that as advisor stipends are lumped under that section, but those are paid in half in December and half in June. So I do believe that that's a significant amount right there. So I don't see that number as such a large number as maybe it looks. The administration, 29,000 remaining there. That's contractual obligations that are paid at year end. Substitutes, daily rate is not encumbered, so you're going to see a balance there. I pulled out the permanent building subs for you. The schools are very happy to have a permanent building sub in each school. It just helps them significantly. Again, that's not encumbered, so that's a daily rate, which is $125 a day. So that's why you see a balance there. And the last one is committee and contractual stipends. Again, you're going to see that, reduced down as these stipends are paid. So I don't have anything to bring to your attention on the salary side that I'm concerned with. Does anyone have any questions on anything on the salary side? Okay, then we'll move right into the expense side, which is on the bottom side. So obviously this is the remaining 20%, approximate 20% of your operating budget. I lumped things into categories down here just to try to make it easier. It's custodial and maintenance expense. You're just showing a $74,000 balance there. That'll be expended throughout the year, obviously. Copiers. I need to look into the copiers because I have to say the copiers are way higher than 15,000. And I believe that I've actually encumbered money under the school choice account. So I need to do a little research on this 15,000. I'll have more answers for you next time we meet. Contracted services. So that's our big line item. It's the largest expense line item at $3.6 million, which includes $2 million for transportation, $1 million for therapeutic services, and about $100,000 for legal services. The rest is just miscellaneous contracted. I do want to hone in on that therapeutic services of $1 million. We've talked about this a lot, I think, especially since COVID. And I don't think we're quite there now, but I'm just gonna plant the seed that I think we need to have some conversations about what are we really doing with these bodies that are coming in for contracted services, because we might want to have discussions about bringing some people in so that we're not paying out way more money than we could if we had the person in. But again, we're not right there at budget, but I think that's a big number. And
In as an employee.
I am saying an employee. I think we need to talk about perhaps BCBA's, behavioral certified, I'm not saying that right.
Right. Board certified behavior.
That's it. Those are, a hot topic. They've helped us a lot. We've had to plug in certain situations. So I just thought it was important to bring that number to your attention. And I know how you feel about FTE.
Yeah, let's look at FTEs though, yeah.
It is. So, and
know.
again, it's not my decision, it's yours, but it's my decision. I mean, it's my, responsibility to bring it forward to you, to just gently remind you about these big numbers, and they are real, and I can bring you more data if you'd like to see, what are we paying for BCBA that's a contracted services versus what maybe we could get in-house,
We have the data. We sign off on it.
right?
Exorbitant.
And
Can I ask a quick question? And
or
you may not know this off the top of your head, but if you had to just provide an estimate, would you be able to say a number off the top of your head if we were able to hire, say, a couple of positions
Yeah.
versus that $1 million number?
like how much one body might cost us,
Well,
or just,
maybe even just one. Yeah, just one.
I mean, on average, a BCBA, maybe $90,000, maybe
I
$100,
think that would be hard to,
little.
I think we would want to look into that because
Would be-
it would have to fall, if you're hiring them within the Unit A salary scale, you'd have to look at what level of education they have and where that falls. So it might
Could
be
be
hard.
around.
We don't have any
Yes.
currently.
We don't have any.
We don't have a
Right, but-
BCBA.
I don't think it would be
Million is more than 100.
more than 100.
No, it wouldn't be more than, I don't think it would be more than 100.
Spending a,
10 full-time people
yeah,
for what
Yeah.
we're paying.
well, we do
Like
need to
10,000.
We could take 100
for that.
Because, I never really pushed this too much because
Right.
COVID, things were,
Yeah,
there was a lot of uncertainties, and we all kind of had to take a step back. I think all school districts, like, what is going on, and how do we fix this for our kids? And we're coming out of it, and I do believe things are getting better. We're seeing some trends, but we're still not there. We aren't. And
We're not gonna be there either.
those
This is
kids that were,
lasting and
yes, it's longer than, yes. So again, I just
You can-
wanted to,
We've started to discuss some of this because you have at least one staff member, there may be more, who actually is a board certified behavior analyst as well as licensed special educator. And so you probably have some people who could slide into this. It just depends on the role. But to the point I think others are making, we have to look at what's the cost savings.
Yeah.
In terms of where does it come down in contracted services if we offer, what does that schedule look like for this individual? How many positions are you looking at? That type of thing.
hire a full-time person for every school and save half of what we're paying.
well, but you have
Is-
more
get-
than just the salary
I get
cost.
that.
too.
I get
There's
that.
right, so there is a lot to.
insurance,
There is.
and
correct.
that's why FTEs is gonna bite us in the butt. And so if we can fit it within our existing number of FTEs, it makes perfect
So
sense.
we have not added FTEs for quite a while in a big reduction. So again, we're not right there at budget, but I just wanted to plant that.
Right.
seed.
Do you know what level services is that roughly?
I don't want to say.
I'm not either, but I'm just saying, Pam,
Yeah.
we have to plan for that,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
so if that's the case,
that these will-
talk about new FTEs is just.
Yep.
Right.
That's what, but if we can fit it within the number of FTEs that we currently have,
We're gonna need to
Then it
go,
makes sense.
we're gonna need to go above and
we
beyond.
will not.
But I also think we need to look at maybe restructuring how we send these kids out of district and how much money we're spending on that instead of creating our own communities in district and saving money.
And that's a perfect segue right into the next line item, Antonella. Thank you, because it's out of district tuitions is the next line item, which is $2.5 million.
Yeah,
In
that's,
out of district tuitions. That line item was significantly increased for this year because we had to do that in order to sustain what the direction we were going. So our vocational tuition, the vocational tuition line item is currently showing a surplus of approximately, it's showing $259,000 balance there at year end. So of course, when we're doing the budget in, February, March, April, May, it's already done by then, it's really like that December, January, February, March. We have no idea really how the end of the year is going to be when everything falls down. I was able to do a $225,000 prepay, which is why you see a balance there in that line item. So later in the year, usually the third quarter, where I'm a little more comfortable where things are at, I'll bring things forward to you to request to do transfers. What is that going to be transferred to? I'm not sure yet. Will we be able to save money that we've expended on school choice for supplies maybe and pay for some of it? We could. I don't know. Is something going to happen with special ed? It's too soon to tell, but that balance is there, and that's why you see that there. The rest are just your office expense and, special ed, athletic supplies. So the operating budget is on target to where it should be at this point in the fiscal year. I have no concerns to report. Just as a reminder to everyone out there listening, our operating budget is $36,895,004. We have expended $11,195,626. We've encumbered $23,780,337. A remaining available balance of $1,919,040. Does anyone have any other questions before we move on? Okay. The next one on page 6 are your grants. I put the prior year grants carried over into FY26 at the very top. Last time when I presented the first quarter, there was some confusion of what I had put there. So those are the entire grants and where we're at with those. You'll see that they're pretty much expended. So then we have our federal grants, FY26 federal grants, and the state grants. Those are all entitlement grants, which mean we receive them every year. There's an application process like you have to fill out and tell them how you're going to expend the money, but they're really entitlement grants and we get them every year. Then we have our private grants. We have just that one. It's from that tennis association for that $1,000 that when it's time to rent tennis courts, you'll see that being expended. So the total FY26 grants is really $1.7 million. And as you can see, the FY26 grants total over the $1.7 million. These grants are anticipated as part of the budget development process, meaning that the positions, services, and tuitions funded through these grants are not included in the general budget appropriations. Any questions on any grants at all? Your revolving accounts are on page 7. The way the revolving accounts work is these roll over from one year to the other. So at the top, you'll see the FY25 carryover, then a revenue column, then expended, encumbered, and then an available balance. I'm not going to go through every single line item here, but I also put some highlights over to the right for you just to remind folks that the athletic fees did go up this year to $199. That was a $50 increase this year. The ticket sales are now electronic via GoFan, which charge $1 in addition to the $6 adult fee, $4 non-East Longmeadow students grade 6 to 12 fee, $4 for non-East Longmeadow 62 plus with picture ID. East Longmeadow students and staff are free with ID, and East Longmeadow residents 62 and older are free with a picture ID. I just think people should know that. Some athletic events may be higher, such as the Thanksgiving Day event. So that's just 17,000 in the athletic revolving. There's been no rentals, obviously, for the stadium. School rental and miscellaneous accounts, that's really the revenue you see coming in there is from JCC CAP, which is the Children at Play program, and the Willie Ross that rents, and also there might be a few miscellaneous rentals that occur there. The student mobile technology device, that's a self-funded insurance program for student devices, which has been very successful, along with the line item below it, which is the staff mobile technology insurance account, again, self-funded by the ELEA. You'll see that $2,500 there, which was a check given to the ELEA to keep that going. The school gift accounts, the bulk of that is really in the eLeaf grant goes in there. So that was about $50,000, which is the revenue that you see there. Tuition revolving account. Meadowbrook Preschool currently has 14 full-day students, which pay $6,300 a year, 13 half-day students that pay $2,500 a year. This account funds a teacher and 2 paras, and this is always brought in during the budget process as well, so that we talk about, can we continue to pay for these? Can we maybe add another para? How is the revenue coming in? So
we're $100,000 less than the carryover currently.
correct.
Is that concerning?
I'll tell you next month. I'll look at that more for you. I'm sorry, I didn't hone too much into
Fair
that.
enough.
I wanted to make sure I had the number of students accurate.
Because that means we've spent 100,000 more.
But
We actually budgeted for, correct?
they also pay a monthly payment, so it's
Okay.
not like you get the revenue all up front. So that's.
That number may increase.
It could, Yeah.
And some are behind in payments.
right.
I see.
Times the students then, peer role model might then become an IEP student
Yep.
and need some services and it switches. So it's a little bit, fluxing.
Pam, can I just ask you, going back to the new ticketing system for
Yep.
those, for the athletic events, for those folks that qualify for a free ticket, do they still need to go to register electronically?
Good question.
Because when they get to the event, they show their ticket. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so no.
For their phone and they
Yes,
zap
it's
it?
on their phone, I believe,
But if they show up
with their
free
ID,
one,
then they're going to be able to be let
then
in.
they don't need to go and get the,
That is my understanding. I will verify that.
Um,
Because I'm not sure how do
Caitlin?
you have info? That would be
Yeah.
great.
My mom works the games and I think they
That's
just,
right.
they show their ID and then she just lets them in if they're over like 6.
okay.
Thank you.
It'd be all right for me to head out. I have a lot of.
Yes, always is. I was gonna ask you again. Sorry about that.
Good night.
Thank you, Caitlin, for being here tonight.
Does that answer your question? You're good?
Yeah, I mean, because that was not, the seniors weren't the only group, or the 62 plus weren't the only group that get free, right?
Staff.
Staff.
Students and staff.
Students and staff.
Free with their ID.
With their ID. Okay, great.
And part of raising that athletic fee, we were projecting that it was going to increase about $30,000, I think, bring in revenue for that. I also think, Gordon and I were talking about this with the electronic sales. We think, but I will verify that with Kevin also, that it has increased the sales for the games. It seems like, but again, I'm going to.
Sounds like we had a good fall.
Just because it's easier to,
Monitor, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, where did I leave off? I did the tuition, right?
Yeah.
The circuit breaker account, the first quarter payment was on October 1st. I think you probably remember that I had told you that, so it wasn't on your first quarter because it came in October, so I couldn't put it on there. So that first quarter payment was $514,325, plus the payment we got in the supplemental July payment of $123. That's where you see the revenue over there. There's 3 quarters remaining, totaling $1.5 million. So although you see a deficit right there in the available, that's just because of all the encumbrance there, but the 1.5 million will certainly cover that. So I feel like we're in a good place with circuit breaker. Transportation revolving, we're utilizing 14 buses for the 1,360 riders this year. The bus fee for those students that do not qualify for free transportation is $270 per year, which equates to $1.50 per day. We're still collecting from some folks out there that Secretary Kara has been reaching out to them that we do need. We're always willing to set up a payment plan with folks and certainly work with them. And if somebody needs to fill out the alternate financial assistance form, they can do that if they need some help. So there's avenues. We just need them to communicate with us. So that offsets the budget also because I reduced down the budget, by approximately $100,000 to help us pay for transportation.
And there's still fees to come in. There's still revenue.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. We still have too many.
At all.
Yeah.
Yep.
School food service account. Reminder, breakfast and lunch are free for all students. The lunch reimbursement rate is $4.74 and the breakfast reimbursement rate is $2.94. You see a decent balance there. It is a self-funded program. Lori is working on changing out the food service, the lines, I don't know if that's the proper way to say it,
Yeah.
the lines, right? So those are, up at like $75,000 a piece. So those add up quick.
Times 5 or not?
Now, I think it was the 3 elementaries that she was working on, I believe. Lastly, your school choice account. Monthly revenue, July to September was 18,195 for each month. In October, it increased to 27,254, and that's due to the October Sims enrollment numbers, which I think we talked about in the first quarter. I said that would go up once those numbers came in. We are expected to receive an additional $218,000 to this current available balance. So I see that as a very good,
So that's a potential rollover there.
correct.
Yeah, great.
And,
Not in the entire thing.
No.
No, and
Remember, we took the supply accounts.
Yeah,
School supply accounts, and we reduced them considerably, almost to zero. And we're using
yes,
school choice money, but we're not injecting the school choice money all at once. So the schools had a specific amount at the beginning of the summer or after July 1 to start up the school year. We just transferred some more, was it in the month of November?
Yeah.
And we'll probably revisit again in the new year to see where we are. So what we're hoping is that we will have money to roll over because we're going to start talking about budget development. And I think that we will probably need some money to roll over.
so the next sheet I have in your packet is the school choice update. So I wanted to remind everyone that during the FY26 budget development process, we strategized on how to reduce level services budget requests. One of the strategies shown below, I just thought it would be good to paste this all back in, refresh everybody's memory about where we were last year and what we had made some decisions to do. To utilize school choice revolving account for classroom supplies, office supplies, educational software purchases, et cetera. If you look where I highlighted in green there, utilize $350,000 of FY25 school choice rollover, and then we utilize $100,000 of FY26 existing school choice revenue. So that's where the 450 comes from. So I just want to remind you about that. There's some other line items in there too to just remind you, like that increased athletic to 149 to 199. That was the 30,000 there, just the miscellaneous items. So I wanted to remind you about that. Then I wanted to say, okay, where are our expenditures as of November 21st? So I listed out each school there so you could see what was put in there for them to utilize the budget. Again, this is in the school choice account, and then what has been expended, what has been encumbered, and then the remaining balance there right now. So I'm constantly, Gordon and I, working with the principals. Certainly if schools need something, if teachers need something, we're going to get it for them. But we wanted to look at ordering all of our supplies differently. Like, don't just order something just because you always order it every year. Let's really take a look. Look in those supply closets. Do we really need that? Those kind of questions. And we think that it's actually slowed down the purchasing. And we've also made it very clear to our leadership team that anything that is saved this year for school choice is only going to help us for the following year, because the more we can roll over, the better it is for us. During the budget process for FY27, we're going to have to try to get anything that's been expended in school choice back into our operating budget, or maybe use some of it and some of it back in our operating budget. So again, I wanted to show you where those school choice expenditures are right now, and then just take it down to that. I carried over from the financial report that I just showed you, the piece down there where you can see the carryover, the revenue, the expenditure and encumbrance, which match the spreadsheet above it, showing the $228,000 available balance right now. I added on the projected 218. That gives us 446. I'm just throwing this number out there. So if we have to spend an additional $125,000 for supplies, that would still leave us $321,000 to roll over at the end of the year. So that would be my projection right now. We'll keep updating this, every time we bring forward a financial update. Does that all make sense for the school choice? Okay. And the last one, I'm going in the wrong direction. The last one is, where did I go with it? Yeah, thank you. It is right here. Too many spreadsheets. Circuit breaker update. So I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to talk about the circuit breaker expenditures as of November 21st. So what do I see in circuit breaker? On the left-hand side of circuit breaker, and then Gordon thought it would be a great idea, and I agreed to put the operating budget on the right side, so you can certainly see the whole picture here of these two line items. So circuit breaker, the contracted services between expended and encumbered, that's $1 million. Your out-of-district tuitions, circuit breaker, that's $825,000. You go over to the right and add in what's in those same line items, contracted services, another $900,000 for operating budget. That's $1.9 million. Out of district tuitions, operating budget is 2.3 million, plus the 825,000 from circuit breaker, that's $3.1 million. These are very big numbers, as you can see. $5.1 million for those two line items with those two funding sources. The Operational Services Division, also known as OSD, sets the tuition prices for private special ed programs and also for services like one-to-one aids in these programs. The OSD's analysis of the estimated rate of inflation for FY27, we already know is 3.04%. So we already know that all of these out-of-district tuitions are going to go up 3.04% at minimum.
This current year, they were allowed to go up 3.1 something percent. So the last 2 years, they've gone up over 6%, and our Chapter 70 has been roughly 3% change over 2 years. Last year, we were 1.2 something percent in terms of the increase. But it becomes more and more challenging and skewed towards the contracted services and tuitions in terms of what you do with your operational budget.
So I wanted to do that projection for circuit breaker on the bottom here. So you can see I brought forward from the financial statement those same numbers. And I'm saying to add the projected revenue for remaining 3 quarters of 1.5. That gives you $1.1 million. I'm saying, what if we spend 300,000 of that projected? That would still leave us $886,000 to be able to roll over into FY27. And again, anything we can save here is just going to help us again for the following FY27 year. Just as a reminder, circuit breaker, we can roll over a complete year's worth of revenue if we were able to and expend it the following year. So whatever we can do. Does anyone have any questions? I know I gave you a lot of information.
Pretty good news, right? Yeah,
I do think it's good news. We are certainly,
better than we had thought it might.
yes,
Yeah. Great.
certainly better than we were a year ago. So I'll keep monitoring it. Obviously, if I see anything, I'll bring that to your attention right away.
Great. That looks good. Any other questions? If not, I would take someone to move to accept.
I move to accept the fiscal 26 budget update.
Motion made by Antonella.
Second.
Second by Amy. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Up next, we have new business approval of the East Long Meadow High School robotics team, a field trip.
Okay, so these are the field trips that we were referencing earlier as we were talking with Mr. Page. You have the robotics team and drone team that consists of 9 high school students. And they are looking to do a series of competitions that all fall on Saturdays. And they start in December and run through March. Generally, we have at least one parent chaperone go, and then obviously including the advisor is another chaperone. But I think all the parents tend to go anyway. So you have a number of chaperones. To the question of how we might work with this group, that's a little bit more flexible in terms of going out of state with the potential dealing with any kind of medication. As long as a parent agrees to go and be responsible for his or her child, then we're okay.
And that they know this.
They know, yeah.
All right.
Otherwise, that child, we would have trouble having
Can't
that
go.
child go.
And was there a reason why they changed this law with the nurses? Did something happen or?
That's a great question. I don't have the background on that.
Because I mean, it seems.
And the interesting
A headache
thing that
and.
not every state in the sort of the 50 states, if you will, are becoming in the country, thank you. In the union, are becoming compact states. New York it says pending. Where on the chart, looking at that, Connecticut, Massachusetts, most of the states around us are in line to become compact states, and then we'd be able to field trips again. I don't know that New York's coming online anytime soon, so that Broadway trip could be on hold for quite a while.
Symphony Hall.
Downtown.
There you go. They do Symphony Hall.
Can't even go to the Bush now.
No, you can't.
No.
So the competitions are a compilation of New Hampshire and Connecticut locations listed below.
In Springfield, Vermont.
Oh, yeah, well, Vermont as well, thank you. All over the place. A lot of robots roaming around
And drones.
and drones. Any other questions on robotics team field trip? If not, I would take someone to move to approve.
I move to approve LHS robotics team field trips.
And
Second.
motion made by Antonella, second by William. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. That carries 4-0.
Mr. Van Buren, no?
Okay, finally, the last item on our list this evening, under new business, review of new policy on artificial intelligence.
Okay, so the policy subcommittee met 2 times this fall and has helped draft a new policy regarding generative artificial intelligence and probably more specifically trying to just give a structure for staff, students, and the district in terms of how we look at artificial intelligence, how we start to use, even though we already are using artificial intelligence software. And probably the biggest element to this policy is the fact that it's going to need to be looked at, if not annually, often. Because this is as all of you know, a fast moving arena. And the other, I won't, unless you would like me to, I won't read the entire policy to you, but the other areas that I would highlight, and this can be the first reading of 2 readings, we can bring this back, is that we're really trying to concentrate on how do we do this ethically? And how do we really outline the responsibilities of all involved? Because staff have certain responsibilities, both in how they're utilizing it to prepare for their day and prepare for their lessons. But also, what are their expectations for students who will utilize this on certain assignments or all assignments? And what we need to do is really start to work with our staff and our department heads to specifically outline and post what our expectations are in given content areas and given classrooms. So with that, then we also want to outline what's our expectation for students who use this and probably use this more regularly than maybe some staff members, because this is what they're growing up with. And then obviously working with our IT department, and that's going to be ever evolving, because even though we have in here that you need an town IT department approved AI software to use in the LPS, there isn't a specific list necessarily that's been put together. And so we need to, as we're identifying what is being used, we need to make sure that our IT department, the town IT department, is okay with that.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
is there a consequence in here if students do use AI
What we basically have directed it towards is going back to the code of conduct, which lists consequences for cheating and academic dishonesty. So we aren't getting specific in the policy as to what the consequence will be. We're directing it back to the code of conduct.
This right here, it's resulting in potential.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, second page, the bottom.
I was looking under
Project based.
I'm sorry?
Another reason to be proactive, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think, and one, thank you to Ms. Delenta and Mr. Strother. We're on the policy subcommittee, so thank you for all your insight and putting it together. And we need to get something, and that's been Mr. Thompson's push for the last 2 years, to get something out there so that we start acting on it, but it's going to continue to evolve.
It's,
And
We're not
I
gonna
did get
catch
an
it,
email
but-
today from Baypath. And they're trying to put together and get some grant work in terms of how to ethically use AI to provide some courses. It looked like I have to go back and read the email more specifically and then respond. But they're looking to, we partner a lot with Baypath, and so they're looking to us as one of their partners to it looked like support their application. So write a letter of support. Which I'll do just on my own, not use AI too.
and the policy does actually support, one of the new growing issues is kids now wearing meta glasses. So they can sit in a room with glasses on, mumble a question. And it answers.
And then the answers.
It answers.
It's amazing.
Here.
So
Crazy.
one of the questions, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Really?
Look like Antonella, similar to Antonella.
Questions that we.
That's what mine are.
Oh, she has such great questions.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that came up in our discussion at the subcommittee level, and then also as we talked about different things with the leadership team, is we had narrowed down our packages with, say, Securely and some of our security software. We may at certain schools come back with that so that, say, on the Chromebook, where teachers can lock what they're looking at. And so if we're looking at this slideshow, then that's what you're going to be looking at, and you can lock it and they can't go anywhere else. Be more challenging to figure out the meta glasses, but where we can put some structure and some security in place, we're looking at bringing that back. We had cut a lot of our software packages back as we were looking at the
I
budget.
just processed the PO for the high school.
Yeah.
Today.
The ones I had most of the conversation with.
I think it's going to start in the earlier grades too, as communicating
Right.
with the students and helping them understand,
Correct.
more of just like learning for learning's sake
Right,
too. Like
yeah.
they need to understand, at some point, we're going to have to shift the conversation because even now, I mean, I have 2 kids in high school.
Mhm.
I don't think that they're being academically dishonest, but could they be? I mean, sure, in any given moment.
And in some cases, they may not even know.
And right, well, that's what I'm saying. Their generation doesn't see this as cheating.
Right.
They just don't. They don't think, like, they think of plagiarism as like cutting and pasting something
Right.
from the internet, not like looking up an idea and like they don't
Taking the outline.
think that it's
Right.
academically dishonest to do that. So I think it's a narrative shift and it's going to be like a massive lift for all of us, but
But I would agree with Baypath in the fact that they have, are looking to use it in an ethical manner.
Mhm.
I think and I think I may have said this here before or not, but I think we're still at the early phases. We're at the early phases of this beast. And it's really not something that we haven't dealt with before. And as I look around the room, maybe outside of Sam, all of us are not blind. All of us sat too close to the TV. As our parents said, as our parents was.
We're young and we're not.
that's it.
You sit too close to the TV, you're gonna go blind, but we're still here. So it's, everybody's just kind of shell shocked with it. But I think Baypath is probably moving in the direction, how do you ethically use it?
Right.
How do you use it responsibly? And realize when you're cheating and realize when you're just enhancing.
Good point.
I like the blind joke too.
Are there questions as you looked through this and read it? Certainly you can bring back questions to the next meeting. There's there's not a DESI timeline. This is the LPS's policy. So we can revise as needed. We can answer questions, have further discussion. And then when the committee is ready to approve it, we can then put it out to the entire district.
Which we should do soon. Antonella, would you like to wait for the next meeting? Because they already went through it, obviously,
I'm fine.
tonight.
Yeah. And aren't we gonna send it out to people?
Yeah, we'll send it then.
What I'm saying.
Send it out to staff
As soon as we can get it to staff.
What I'll do is I'll start with the leadership team because we're gonna have to break it down. and then distribute it out to staff and then put it on faculty meetings and so forth.
And I do think that it should be revisited every single year. I think it has to be an annual look at the entire
Every
policy.
single year.
And with the
Gordon, you're
staff.
gonna come back every year. Next year.
Every year in October.
Just for the one thing.
That's intelligence.
Because it's gonna change, like you said, I mean, it's gonna look completely different next year at this time when we're sitting at this table.
And I may as well.
See?
No, so-
Huh?
Sorry.
My way, Gordon. He's sitting there.
I just meant in terms of what I might be wearing.
Oh.
But
It will be, who knows?
Shorts and flip flops.
Okay, so I would then entertain a motion to accept, do we have a policy number?
So it's IJNDG.
I move to accept the new policy on artificial intelligence, policy number IJNDG.
Correct. Motion made by Amy,
Second.
second by Anthony. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, nay. Carries 4-0.
Okay.
Out.
Thank you.
At this, and students, right? That'll,
What I want to do is do a dive on sort of how we start to implement this with the leadership team. But we can do some of that on Thursday when we have our next meeting. Then we can get it out next week to everyone.
in
Happy holidays.
a few meetings, can we have an update as to what's been said to staff, what's been given to students and how it's going?
Yeah, I think their first big deep dive would be the January faculty meeting. 'Cause
Okay.
the December faculty meeting's tomorrow.
Yep.
Depending on what superintendent does with weather.
I also think it would be easier to keep students off of things like Chat GPT, et cetera, if we were a little more diligent with their phones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did follow up more anecdotally, not in terms of a survey or data. They are finding, and this actually came a little bit through the discussion before I think you arrived, it was pre-meeting of the collaborative meeting, that they seem to, maybe the group in there anyway,
Yeah.
following it.
I think the group in there is probably following it.
So we have maybe some, what do you call them? Outstanding, not outstanding.
Outliers.
Outliers, thank you. Who maybe aren't. So, yeah.
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's outliers. I think that the culture, at least at the high school, is that, and I agree with you, Greg, kids should be able to have their phones. Like sorry, I don't mean to speak for you, but you've been pretty vocal that you think it's a acceptable thing, like hallway, passing time, that kind of thing. But I don't know that the culture is like, we don't use our phones here. Like,
Yeah, walk in the door, put it in the pocket.
Yeah, and I
right.
know that they're.
That should be the
That's not
culture.
the culture
That should
here.
be the culture for every student walking into every door.
Yes,
Yes,
every day.
every day.
Because there's already enough easy, like it's right in front of them on the computer.
Yeah.
Easy to access the,
Right.
the
Right.
shortcuts
When
through.
appropriate.
Oh, we're
AI.
already moving in a direction. I think that's where you're going with the acts that have already been, I think it's called the Study Act, or as far as policy, yeah, I think it's passed in the Senate, it's waiting on the House.
It may become.
Right.
Oh, yeah, but that's that's still us.
Yeah.
That's gonna require us to actually be responsible for then creating the policy.
We have policy
No, but creating a more, like, whether it
Be more
couches.
stringent, probably be the.
to actually enforce it now. We have the policy.
Right.
Now we would have to enforce it a
Right.
little bit more diligently if it became state law, which it probably, I mean, I guess it probably will, but
Other countries, they actually check them in at the door.
they should.
They have little lockers and they put them into the door. Everybody has to put them in.
And that should be that.
And then they get them when they walk out at the end of the day.
And it's
Building, yeah.
just what you do.
Yeah, right.
It's no longer a big deal because it's just what you do.
Yeah, which is why
would be
maybe the
like-
pouches are a way to go, because then you have zero variance between rooms, it's just right in the pouch.
Oh, the locked pouch you're talking? Oh.
It's free.
And in that.
I mean, that's kind of what,
That's the way it's heading.
In that study, they actually have
Yeah, take
reports
that.
on how
The
it,
pouch.
has been effective.
They're just gonna
they're looking to
gonna
outlaw,
outlaw it. But then again, it's up to each district to figure out
how you.
And now you gotta-
how to do that and actually
But
follow
where the
through on
teachers
it.
at? Where the teachers
That's
at?
it.
And where to put the phones. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. More to come,
Always.
always. Take me with you, Gordon. I think we've come to the end of our meeting. And if there's nothing further, thanks Caitlin for being here. I would entertain a motion to adjourn when she was. It's on the list.
Thanks, Caitlin.
I think they're
Watch
earlier.
this.
I think they're
Rewind
earlier.
the whole thing.
So moved.
Motion made by William. Thank you, William.
Second.
Back. Second by Amy. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. That carries 4-0. Thank you. We are adjourned.